All right, everybody. Welcome to Thursday in the Mansfield Buzz.
Welcome to Mansfield Buzz, Jordan Hurdy in the mix, spotlighting local stories, every episode's a fix, unearthing unique gems, what makes them shine. Tune in, get ready, we're diving into their grind. With Jordan's questions, we reveal what's at the core. Hurdy's tech wizardry, bringing stories to the fore. Together we create, start showcasing what's unique. Mansfield Buzz, where content creation sleek. Calling all business owners and customers to the scene. Discover authentic gems, find the best you've ever seen. Meet the faces behind each unique space. Trust in their stories, find community in this place.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. It is Thursday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. You'll notice that somebody's missing. Well, my host is missing, and one of my hosts, and he is out of town today and said he might try to get on, but I'll bet $10 he doesn't make it today. So hopefully I lose that bet, but I don't think he's going to make it. Anyhow, Susan Smith, family attorney, is going to be with us in a minute. We'll be with her in a second, but before we do that, let's go through some things here. We are on YouTube, of course, and our YouTube handle is at Mansfield TX Buzz. Feel free, if you know some friends, send them that link on YouTube, ask them to subscribe. Today, right underneath the video, there's a thumb. Hit that like thumb. It does help the algorithm a little bit, and then, of course, on the on-demand, after it's over and you come back to watch it, hit the thumbs up again. We love that. So, and again, our hosts are myself, Hurdy Burke, and Jordan. And by the way, everybody thinks Jordan's last name is pronounced Hogue. It's Huff. It's it's pronounced like Huff or like tough. So just remember that when you see his last name. But he's not with us today. If you want to be on the show, really cool, real simple. You sent, and we already got a comment. So Susan, I'm going to hold on a sec. I'm going to go through the preliminary because I can only operate everybody by myself. So let's explain. I have a dashboard, and it only allows me to do certain things. I got to talk and do this all at the same time, or talk and chew gum, as I used to say. But if you want to be on the show, Hurdy@HurdyBurke.com. We are booked all the way through in November. We've got 3 days left in December, which I have a lot of people interested in. So start thinking about January of next year if you want to be on the Mansfield Buzz. And let's see really quickly, since we're not in any hurry. Sherry Poe says hello. So there you go. So Sherry, thank you. And let's go back up here. Also, Susan was with us about, I want to say it was back in March sometime, right, Susan?
I don't know.
But sometime back there, right. And the cool thing is that we kind of did some AI stuff. And so, let's jump into our icebreaker section here real quick. Let me get over to my media asset and let's play our icebreaker intro. And then I have a little surprise for you guys. So sit tight. All right. So how cool is AI? I don't know. Jordan did this. So we're gonna play about a minute of it. This is the icebreaker. Give us about a minute and a half. Okay. Makes me laugh.
Family law. When baby mama drama's got you stressed, I'm the tactician who handles the mess. I play 3 steps ahead like chess on the board, turning chaos to calm and keeping you floored. No bulldog tactics, just sharp, steady moves. Courtroom control with nothing to prove. With strategy tight and your goals in sight, I make sure you
Isn't that funny?
day or night when it's time to play
Yeah,
smart.
that's
And
awesome.
win it all. I'm the name you call.
So we'll let your name come up.
Mm-hmm.
In the league going fine. Susan Smith, family law. When baby mama drama's got you stressed, I'm the tactician who
All right, everybody. So there you go. So I'm going to send her the long version. She can play that as a cheerleading, thing before she goes in the courtroom if she wants. But hey, yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
I want to see what AI can do with animating, like making a music video to go with it.
They can. We'll have to experiment with that a little bit and try and check that out. Okay, so before we get started on some questions in our story, there's one more thing we got to do. We have created a new section on the show called Rewind, and it really gives us a chance to show off a previous guest. Today it happens to be Good Canine Linda, who's a dog trainer, famous, works with a lot of the military, police dogs, even trained our dog, but didn't train Herdy well enough. The dog's trained fine, but Herdy's not trained at all. So there you go. So we'll be right back.
Quick rewind, keep it tight. Highlights, prime to ignite. Catch the vibe, feel the rush. Previously on the Mansfield Buzz.
Note, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the leadership aspect, because I find that a lot of people get it wrong. And leadership, it's different than dominance, but I feel like us as not professionals in the dog training world, like, see leadership as dominance. You got to be the alpha, right? Like, it's always like dominating over the rest of the dogs. It's not the case.
Yeah. We have a tendency to have buzzwords, and we've got certain things that back those buzzwords up. Being a leader is just showing the way, okay? It's for them to look up to you, and they need a leader. If they don't have a leader, they're going to take that position, and they don't do well at it, okay? And that's where you have dogs that run the households, and because there is no leader, I get hundreds of calls that my dog is doing this or my dog is doing that. Well, I know right away.
All right, guys. So Linda Conrad's got a show on the Mansfield Buzz. Go look it up. It's a good hour. It talks everything about dog training. And I pointed myself because when she came and trained our dog, Susan, the funny thing was, guess who was getting trained?
Oh,
the adult, the me, right? The dog was fine. The dog just needs somebody to give him leadership skills.
that can apply to so many different things.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about it today. So anyhow, we are, this is Susan Smith with Attorney Family Law. And the cool thing is we've had her on before. She has so many stories. It's amazing. But before we dive into your questions, Susan, one thing we like to do is kind of tell stories a little bit, and let's catch some folks up. You can handle this any way you want. You can dive in on why you got started in this, where you're at with it, all that fun stuff. So take it away.
So I did not want to be a family law attorney when I went to law school, graduated from law school. So I went to A&M for undergrad. I went to Texas Tech for law school. And then I worked for a law firm, kind of a larger law firm in Fort Worth for about, 4.5 years. And then I went and hung a shingle. And I was going to do what I had done at the larger law firm, which was civil litigation, like business disputes and stuff like that. But what came in the door was family law. And, it paid the bills. And the third client that I got wound up being the first legal same-sex divorce in Tarrant County. Of course, this was back in 2014. So 2014, in Texas, gay marriage was not legal.
Right.
And so if the state doesn't view you as married, then the state says, why do you need a divorce? Just break up. But so I tell people that's the only divorce I've ever lost. So, we went and had a trial. Because there was, all they wanted was a divorce. Think if you have a couple that they don't have kids, they don't have assets or anything. They literally just need the paperwork signed.
Just wanted to walk away. Right.
Yeah. And so the divorce got denied. And we appealed it. The other side also appealed it. And we went all the way to the Second Court of Appeals, which is the appellate court in Fort Worth. And I gave oral arguments there at the Second Court of Appeals. And so it took about a year and a half to actually, like, from phone call from the client and then to actually getting the divorce granted took about a year and a half.
Wow.
And in that time span, the vast majority of the cases that I got were all family law. And I love it. And I figured out I loved it then. And, you know, a lot of people just look in the lawyer community, they look down on family law. They're like, oh, well, if you can't do anything else, you do family law. Which,
Oh, really? I don't see that.
maybe that might have been how I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I just fell in love with it because it was so much, for me, better than arguing over, you know, like commas and punctuation and like damages and things like that. I mean, like, it was real people, real problems. And I loved coming in and solving them. So to bring that story kind of full circle, we went to the Second Court of Appeals and argued, which is probably the high point of my legal career. And then it got, Obergefell came down and the Second Court of Appeals said, oh, look, new United States Supreme Court precedent, here, trial court, go decide it.
Wow.
And so then, you know, got the divorce granted. But yeah, family law is what came in the door, and I'm so
and
grateful
and
for
it's
it.
stayed ever since. So
I have.
did that get any media attention?
It did. I was, it pretty much catapulted me into,
Just keep going. We'll
yeah.
answer that in a
it
minute.
pretty
Yeah.
much catapulted me into like an echelon of family law attorney that I wouldn't really have otherwise been able to break into almost immediately. I was front page above the fold on the Star Telegram twice. I think I gave 6 or 7 on-camera interviews.
Right.
And then
And this was when you were relatively new to this too, right?
I
mean,
was brand new to family
yeah, and
law.
you were talking about courtroom. You're talking
Mhm.
about the nerves that go with that. You're talking about baptism by fire.
Oh, I mean,
Literally.
I went from going to court maybe once a quarter to going to court every week. And I mean, I was scared. I
Yeah.
was so nervous. And like, but then my clients are even more scared and they've hired me. So I have to look like the expert,
Yeah, gotcha.
you know, and appear confident. And I learned very quickly that I don't hold paper in the air, because if you hold paper in the air, they can see you shake.
Yeah,
And it's just
right.
magnified.
Right, gotcha.
So,
Good
yeah.
trick, by the way, is not, yeah, gotcha.
yeah. No, like, you'll never see me hold paper in the air. I mean, now I don't care, but
Right.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to get to your questions, but since we have chatters and we want to
Okay.
make sure that we're accommodating them, Sherry is asking, and what is the quickest procedures when dealing with the co-parent not following the agreement? So I'm sure that could be a all-day conversation. Am I correct?
It depends.
Okay.
No, it really depends on kind of what the agreement is. If the agreement's in the court order or not. If the agreement's just a handshake deal and then your co-parent changes their mind, then you're kind of SOL. You can't do much about it. If they're not following the court order, then that becomes an issue of like the severity of the breach and like, what do you want to do about it? Because the typical remedy, if they're not following the court order, would be filing an enforcement.
Really?
And the enforcement is the court's power of contempt. So when you file an enforcement, you're telling the court, essentially, I want you to throw this parent in jail because they broke the agreement.
Go to jail.
I mean, it's
And then it starts all over, doesn't it?
it can. It
Okay.
can.
It can.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. We're going to hold, Sherry, we got your next question. We're going to hold off on a minute because I think we can tie that into some of the reoccurring stuff that we're getting ready to ask on this. So let's get into, great story, by the way. And I had to ask about the media thing because I remember you telling that story, and I remember you talking about the fear side of it, because all of a sudden you were deer in the headlights. So I don't mean
Yeah.
deer in the headlights. You're
Yeah.
sharp, but I mean, yeah, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted you to make sure that part of the story was there, because it's pretty it was pretty famous case at the time.
If you go to my law firm Facebook page,
Yep.
my banner photo is me back in 2015 giving on-camera interviews right after oral arguments.
Gotcha. I just I just think that's awesome. Anyhow, all right. So one of the reasons we wanted to bring you back on the Mansfield Buzz was that we're going in the last quarter of the year. And the last quarter of the year means Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? So as we're thinking through these questions today with our audience, Susan, I know we're kind of talking into some of the holiday stuff, but one of the things that's probably true, no matter whether it's holidays or not, is what are some of the reoccurring trends that you've seen in family law?
So a lot of people find it funny, but I call it the cat of sadness. If you look at like family law specific court filings, you know, if the y-axis would be like number of cases like an attorney gets, and then the x-axis is time.
Right.
So right at the beginning of the year in January, you'll like 1/1/26, you're going to be in a low spot. And then I can almost set my clock by it. About January 15th to 18th, then everything just comes crashing through because nobody wanted to file for divorce during the holidays. So
Gotcha.
everybody who like put off everything files in the middle
At
of
the same
January.
time in the middle of January.
Yep. And then it drops off in February. And then as people get tax refunds back, it creeps back up. Okay. And then it kind of levels out over the summer a little bit on a decline. Okay.
Right.
And then you get another spike in August that's like about 2 weeks before school starts. And then that drops off and it levels out. And then depending on the type of case, you're really not going to have new divorce filings starting from about, I don't know, about 2 weeks from now. If somebody's filing for divorce generally in November or December, there's normally people are normally trying to kind of gut it out for the kids
through the holiday season.
But if there's a like, you know, I'll see a lot of high conflict cases or emergencies come through after Thanksgiving, right around Christmas. In the family law world, we call the week before Christmas Hell Week.
Yeah, I was going to say you have a term for that.
Yeah, it's Hell Week because everybody is rushing to the courthouse to figure out, like, either somebody's saying they're not going to follow orders or they've already broken them, and like Christmas is in danger, and so they're all trying to get the holidays figured out.
So it's crazy time.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So in between that question with the reoccurring, and this one's not in our list that you supplied to me, but I want to ask it anyhow, because for new people watching for the first time, what is your normal process. Somebody either is referred to you, contacts you. What do you do with them when they contact you?
So I schedule them for a consultation. And I have learned, mostly by making mistakes, that I have to put all consultations through my paralegal, because if somebody reaches out to me directly, then I'll say, okay, yeah, great, I can meet with you, blah 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 blah, and like we'll agree on a time and place, but I will forget to put it on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then my paralegal doesn't know about it,
And
and
so
so
bad news.
yeah.
Okay.
So I put everything through my paralegal. He schedules me, he controls my calendar, and if there's any deviation to the process, a mistake will occur.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So I'm going to go back up here and try to mix this back in. So Sherry's next question was, before we get to your next one, was, what is the biggest mistake people make when going through a divorce? That's probably a common question, by the way, isn't it?
Actually,
Or not?
no. I think I've been asked that before, but the biggest mistake people make, there's a lot. But I would really say not consulting with an attorney early.
Right. Okay.
And a lot of people, they try and get the free consultation because they're saying, oh, well, I got to save my money and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I don't do free consults. My consults are paid, but I also frequently run over. My consults are 1 hour, and that consultation is the most important meeting I ever have.
Yeah.
If they retain me, it's still the most important meeting I ever have, because you get more advice, more value, more bang for your buck out of the consultation than you will at probably any other point in the whole divorce or custody dispute process. So not consulting a lawyer is number one. And then number two would probably be doing the divorce themselves.
Yeah. Self divorce.
Yeah, DIY divorce.
That makes sense.
I tell people you should not do a DIY divorce if you have children,
Yes.
a house,
Yes.
or debt.
Yes.
If you do not have children, a house, or debt, then you can do a DIY divorce and it'll be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But if there's any of those, if there's any yes to any of those things, you better go through the right channels. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I would just kind of thought that maybe that would be some of the things people would search for. What do I do if I'm going through a divorce? Maybe they search for it, and then they find an attorney, right? So maybe that's a search thing. All right, cool. All right. Thank you, Sherry, for the question. And then to you, here we go. Oh, we could spend all day here, pretty sure. What are some of the co-parenting hacks? I love that. Hacks you recommend leading up to the holidays? In other words, communicate.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry. Just natural common sense thing probably to do, right?
It's not even a hack. It's kind of what
it's just do it.
Yeah. And I understand every family is different. Every family dynamic is different.
Yeah.
And there are some dynamics where communication is either impossible or not recommended. But generally, now, start talking now about, hey, this is what I know that the order says this, or I know we've generally done it this way. But like, I have great Aunt Gertrude coming and that's unusual. Can we please get Billy to see Auntie? and just don't. Everybody in family law, especially the co-parents with a bad co-parenting relationship, they always assume the worst about each other.
I can imagine that.
And really and truly, it's never the truth. Each parent's doing the best with what they have most of the time. And there's something I say to a lot of my clients. I say, do not attribute to malice what you can explain by stupidity. I also have different levels of that.
That pretty well says it.
Yeah, don't attribute to malice what you can explain by ignorance. Is a
Right.
little bit more polite.
Right.
But like, don't assume that X happened because they want to harm you. Assume X happened, and there's like maybe another explanation.
Yeah.
You know?
There's probably a reason that's real behind it instead
Mhm.
of now. I can imagine there's two scenarios there. I'm thinking about the couple that never got along, bad divorce. They can't, and holidays come up, they can't agree, even though there's terms for the agreement. They're trying to adjust those within themselves, and they still can't get along. So that's when they get in trouble. That goes back to your ignorance thing, or maybe not. But then there's those couples, and I'll let you address this, that got an amicable divorce, right? They're happy with the conditions. They talk to each other, and they can make arrangements outside of their agreement, and they're happy. They've agreed that's okay. So which of those two scenarios is the most? That's what I want to know. Or is it even Steven, or is it more on the front one?
I don't know. I can't even tell.
But it's both, right?
Yes.
Do they have to come to you to make changes, or can they make changes within their agreement if they agree to it amicably?
So every court order that involves a child,
right?
Okay, once you see enough of them, you notice they follow a formula. Okay. So every parent who, is in a blended family or who is divorced or has a custody order, there's a conservatorship section. A conservatorship is a parent's ability to make decisions on behalf of their child. So conservatorship, possession and access sets out the schedule, and then child support.
Gotcha.
And inside that possession order, very close to the very beginning of that portion, there is one sentence that says, you are free to mutually agree to whatever you want to do.
Gotcha.
If you want to go month on, month off, go for it. When the agreement stops, when you no longer agree, this is what you will do.
Yeah, gotcha. So it always reverts back to the original standards, period. No ifs, ands, and buts. Whatever the schedule, whatever that's set up by y'all and the attorney, the lawyers, and judge.
I explained that order is like the backstop in a baseball game.
Perfect. Great way to describe it. I like that. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. So the next thing we're leading into is, of course, we got this little cool day coming up at the end of the month on 31st called Halloween. And you actually gave me this question, which tells me there's an answer to it.
Yes, parents fight over Halloween.
Ever fight all Halloween, or is it just they fight all year?
Yes. Well, if they're going to fight over
Halloween, especially at Halloween, because of candy, kids, whatever.
Yeah.
I got to hear a story here.
So Halloween is not a holiday that's spelled out in the Texas standard possession schedule, which is set by statute. Okay. Gotcha. So it's not a holiday per that, but this year Halloween falls on the 5th Friday of October. Okay. Which means it goes to and I hate labeling parents primary and non-primary,
right?
But it goes to if that family is following the SPO, then Halloween this year goes to the non-primary parent. And I'm already having some clients that are in conflict over Halloween. And frankly, I mean, there's always circumstances for everybody. And my job as the lawyer is to get to the nugget, get to the root of what's causing that to be a problem. Okay.
Right.
And then I work to resolve that, not necessarily the Halloween issue, but get to the nugget. And sometimes getting to that does resolve Halloween, but sometimes I kind of have to have a come to Jesus talk with my clients. And I'm like, your kids don't care who has them. They want to go trick-or-treating. They want to go trick-or-treating with their friends, and they want a lot of candy. So figure it out.
Right. So a lot of your job is being the go-between to say, let's not let this get any further down the road than it needs to go. Use some
Right.
common sense here.
Yep.
Think about the kids. Get out of this thing in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to go back and talk to a judge and make this worse on everybody.
Right.
And change the rules again and
Right.
cost you money, right? Let's just
Exactly.
enjoy Halloween.
Correct.
That's what I'd say.
Yep. Yep.
Good. Wow. And I imagine that carries over into just about, it can be even worse on other times, right?
Oh, yes. Christmas.
And we're going to, here we come. So with the blended family is taking a trip over Christmas, right? Are there things called, and you got it in parentheses, so I'm assuming that's a real thing, called best practices?
Oh, no, it's a thing I made up.
It's a thing you made up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in those best practices, you're going to be very clear with, right? You recommend for co-parent.
Right. If a family's taking a Christmas trip,
right?
Normally I'm assuming it's been planned for 6 months or so.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're a blended family and you're wanting to take a Christmas trip, you need to book that trip. Before you book it, you need to look at your schedule and understand like when the possession times start and end. And if those don't work for the trip, before you book the trip, you really need to get your co-parent on board.
Gotcha.
And agreeing or, doing makeup time or things like that. And then I would highly recommend putting that agreement in writing or confirming it somehow. And then if the co-parent backs out and changes it, then you at least have a clear paper trail of what happened and when and the
Gotcha.
timeline. And then, I mean, it sucks because sometimes my advice is, well, the court order, like that little sentence that I said, like you can agree to do whatever, but then when you stop agreeing, this is what comes into play. So it trumps any other outside agreement.
Right.
So then I kind of have a talk about consequences with my client.
And I can imagine I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that one, but I know I can't. But
well, and sometimes people are like, well, I've booked this cruise and I've already paid for it.
It's a mistake thing, right?
Yeah,
or they weren't thinking, right?
Or even like where the co-parent, maybe they were being a jerk, and then they revoked agreement. So I mean, sometimes my advice has been go on the trip and let's make them make the argument that they're going to have to make to the judge. Okay.
There you go. So
and
go ahead and explain that to this guy up here. Okay.
Right. I mean, again, it all depends because a different case, my advice would be, I'm sorry, they changed their mind. You need to turn over the kid.
Which reminds me of what Sherry just asked. So if one parent refuses to return a child from visitation, you call the attorney, police, or there's nothing you can do. I don't believe the last part of that.
Well, you call your attorney, maybe not that night. Okay. But there's certain steps that you need to take. And this goes back to the enforcement. And I call it perfecting the injury. So
Gotcha.
like the worst thing that a parent can do is to just cause a big scene right around their kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the kids, they're not going to remember the days. They're not going to say, oh, daddy had me 57 days and mommy only had me 43. They're not
Right.
going to say that. Okay.
Gotcha.
They're just going to remember the time with their parents. And if there's a scene, they're going to remember, oh, well, there was this time and my parents were screaming at each other. And now I really hate drop off or pickup. And so, I tell my clients, you have to be calm, perfect the injury. So that means you look at your court order, you say, where do I pick up the child? Location, place, and time, or location and place, I guess, same thing. And you follow those terms to the T. Okay. If you're supposed to go to the other parent's house, you go to the other parent's house, you ring the doorbell, you send them a text, I'm here. They don't turn over the kid, you don't cause a scene. Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
You wait 15 minutes, you leave, you go to the nearest gas station, you buy a soda, you keep the receipt, then you take a picture of the receipt, send me an email with what happened. Now you have perfected the injury and you have an enforceable claim for a violation of the court order. If the other parent says, oh, I'm not going to turn over Johnny to you, and so then you just stay at home because the other parent said, well, he said he's not going to do it, and you just sit there, you haven't perfected the injury, and now there's nothing to enforce because you didn't even try.
Gotcha.
You weren't following the court order to go pick them up.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Is it always this complicated?
Yes.
Yeah. I anytime there's probably children involved, right? It's going to be always complicated. Is that the way you kind of perceive it yourself, or is that just the way it is?
Yeah. And it's not anybody's fault.
No, I'm not putting fault.
Right,
I'm just thinking that there's always complications that go with these agreements just because it is the way it is, right?
Right, because so I have a very analytical mind. Okay, so I view these court orders almost like an electricity circuit. Okay, so and you change one variable and the path changes.
Right.
Okay, so it's a whole bunch of if-then statements. But that's the court order. But then you're putting a subjective, illogical human being onto the terms of a completely logic-bound document.
Yeah.
The
emotions are out of it.
Yeah. I mean, everything. Every parent has to check their ego at the door. And there's almost nothing that's ever gained by causing a scene.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would think that you would hope that most parents are always considering the kids first, right? That should be front of mind, no matter what goes on, front of mind, kids. Right? Always about the kids. If they can manage to keep that under control. It's when they don't think about that, I can imagine they call Susan.
Well, I mean, and again, it's 50-50 because some parents are, and they are putting their needs of the kid at the forefront, but the other parent isn't. Everything is so unique to literally not just the family, but the child, because even with two kids in the same family, there can be differences there too. So
what happens if a co-parent, and I'll just put this up because I think this kind of leads into it. So what happens if a co-parent refuses to accommodate a long-standing holiday tradition?
So again, every lawyer starts every answer with the phrase, it depends. They teach us that in law school.
So
day one.
It depends.
It depends.
That's your famous two words, right? It depends.
Yeah.
I like that. gonna
But
start using that, Susan. I mean, it depends.
it does always.
Gotcha.
So a long-standing holiday tradition, and they refuse to accommodate it. Again, it all depends on the court order. It all depends on the emotionality at play. But normally, if the parent that's refusing is if whatever's going on is occurring entirely within that other parent's time,
Right.
okay, then sometimes I tell my client, I'm like, you have to let that parent's actions speak for themselves. And if you react, if you get loud, and if you take forceful action to avoid the harm, diminish the harm, or whatever, like, really, you're blunting the full force and impact of that refusal, you
Gotcha.
know. And sometimes I literally was on the phone with a client the other day, and stuff was going on, and I was like, look, you're gonna have to take the punches for a while. I was like, you're gonna get the crap beaten out of you. And I was like, and my strategy is we're not gonna do anything about it. We are going to let you get hurt because you're the parent. You know, we are going to let you suffer. And it's only by letting that happen that you actually get the proof that you need long term to show the judge what is actually going on, you know. And so that would be like in alienation cases,
Sure.
where one parent's like actively undermining the other. That those cases are so hard, and they're so expensive, and they're so draining for everybody involved. But you have to have a certain set of factors that exist before you can do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of makes sense, because I'm just thinking common sense wise, when those things happen, you're going to have to just be patient with the process. Correct.
Mm-hmm. It's
As hard as it is. Now I understand that's hard. I'm
mm-hmm.
not, I can understand why one side would want to emotionally get involved really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
because we all do. All right. So my next question for you, and this is not on the record, is tell me a little bit about Hell Week.
Hell Week.
Do you sleep?
The week before Christmas?
Do you sleep? Or is it just crazy time?
So sometimes you can have a perfectly quiet, relaxing week before Christmas, and you're like,
something's wrong. What's going
what?
on?
And then other times, I mean, it's just like you're drinking from a fire hose, and you like, and really what you're leading up to is you're leading up to that Thursday or Friday school dismissal, where if there's a custody change, if one parent doesn't turn over the kids, then you're like, okay, how fast can I do a habeas?
Right.
A habeas corpus action is a very, maybe not so fast remedy, but it's an emergency type motion.
It's quicker than most. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you're going to miss Christmas if that's what you're relying on. But Christmas is either dead and like family time is awesome, or I just feel like the worst mother ever to my own children.
And so we have talked about the conflict side, what you go through, the holidays. What I want to talk about real quick with you is, and I don't know how many people ask you this question, is what are the rewards for what you do? How does it affect you when you see cases that go right, when things get worked out the way they should. That's got to make you feel pretty good, right?
It does. So I had a client who tried to kill themselves twice in
Wow.
quick succession.
Wow.
And rightly, the other parent said, emergency, remove the kids, but then there was a lot of fuel put on the fire. There's a bug flying around here.
I don't see it.
I'm afraid I'm going to inhale it.
Don't do that.
Yeah. But the other parent was, really putting fuel on the fire on an already fragile mental state.
Right.
And, it was a long-ish process, but I mean, my strategy in every case is to be you, okay? Because if you're putting on a fake face to the judge is going to figure it out sooner or later. So be you. And if bad stuff happened, like, you're trying to hurt yourself, own it.
Yeah.
But also, let's talk about a solution and what you're doing. And in that case, it was also an alienation case. My client was the alienated parent. And as it went on, I told her, I was like, we can settle this, and we did on terms that were mostly agreeable to everybody. But she emailed me one day, like a year after her case had concluded. And she was like, hey, I just want to let you know that, my child just came home from their freshman year or something at a university, and they're spending 3 weeks straight with me, which for that case, it was amazing. And and seeing someone who comes to me and they cannot see a path forward at all because they've built their entire life around either a role to be a stay-at-home parent or a single income family or addiction. Okay. It's I've literally had to say to them, look, you're hiring me to help you see around the bend.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you have to do is trust me and just do what I say. Follow my advice. I promise I'll get you there. And I do.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite moment to just at the end of a case, I sometimes look at my client and I'm like, I told you so.
Right. I was gonna say, so, when you're going through this stuff with people, right? I just don't think enough people ask you what's the reward at the end, but what is it that keeps you motivated to keep working through these cases? Because they're difficult, and you got to feel good when you're hired by somebody and it works out the way it's supposed to. That's got to be, I'm telling you, it's got to be a great feeling.
It is. And I'm not a hugger, but
it's okay. Yeah.
But
come on.
I'll have clients at the end. They're like, I have to give you a hug, and I'm like, okay,
okay, whatever. Not like that. So get away from me. But that's okay. Yeah.
But no, that hug at the end, that's pretty awesome.
All right, guys. I have put your website up down here, SusanSmithFamilyLaw.com. And I think people need to understand that Susan does not go out. She cannot go out and solicit. Okay. So if I'm correct in saying that, right? I'm not an attorney, but you can work off referral and people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
maybe you should clarify that because I don't
really,
know how to word
so really That's called barratry.
Right. Okay.
If an attorney, that's the ambulance chaser.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. We don't want
If somebody's knocking and they're saying, "Hey, do you need? Hey, I think you have a
that.
problem." Like if you have an attorney coming to you,
Right.
that's a little bit of a red flag.
Right. Gotcha.
And I mean, luckily, I don't do any advertising. I don't.
Yeah, you get you work off of referrals. Our
Yeah.
network, all the network groups you're in refer you. I see your name referred to quite a lot in social media, which is awesome. It's awesome.
It is. It's amazing, and it's such a huge compliment whenever I see my name online. It really makes me feel amazing. And then, I always ask my potential clients who come in, I'm saying, "How did you hear about me?" And they'll say a name that I've never heard of.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm like, okay.
I'll take that. Right.
Yeah.
Well, they see people post stuff, right? And then
Mhm.
somehow or another they see it and they may not know you, but by the time it gets to third, fourth, fifth party online, somebody decides I'm going to call them because that's exactly what they say they do. So
Right.
let's call them and find out what makes them tick, right? So this is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And
You also have a nice view, Susan.
Oh, I love my office. I love my office. And if anybody else
couldn't pass it up that you're I think that's Six Flags behind you. I'm not
It
gonna okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And so now I'm sitting on my couch.
I just think it's so terrible. You have such a crummy looking office. What can I tell you?
My daughter, one time, she came up here. I think she was like, it was a weekend or something. We had to come up here for something. And she goes, "Oh, I almost turned off my computer."
You're fine.
She goes, "Mommy, do you ever just come up here to be quiet?" And I looked at her. I was like, "All the time."
All the time.
All the time.
I imagine you can sit there with coffee or whatever your drink is and just look out that window and contemplate life, right?
I love it. So
I bet.
Here's the rest of my
it's office. Look at that
office.
Coolness.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, and then,
nice workspace. Yeah. I like it. Looks good. Well, Susan, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is
fun. Susan is in our network group. She manages a whole network group, as a matter of fact, Mansfield Business Collaborative, and she's been in other but we've all gotten to know each other over the years. And the cool thing is the more you get to know Susan, the more you're going to appreciate what she does, because I'm going to tell you something. She wants straight up answers.
Mm-hmm.
She will debate you, which is good in a friendly way. She's great. I love having discussions with her. I will tell you right now, we probably disagree on a lot of things, but we are friends. And I respect that about her, just like she probably respects me. It doesn't matter. I love people like that. I love people that can have real honest talks and still go, "Hey, this is cool." Now, one more thing. Because I think this is cool about you and has nothing to do with being an attorney. But you do the coolest thing on Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Can you, real quick before we get off, can you tell us what you do? I think that's pretty freaking amazing.
So I send out referral gifts to people who send me business that hire me. Okay.
Right.
And I used to send Christmas gifts, but then I forgot one year. And so I've had to figure out how to repurpose all these chocolates that I got for Christmas.
Right.
And I decided that Valentine's Day was the perfect time. So I send chocolates. I think I've also paired it with a half bottle of wine.
Yeah, little wine kits, little wine bottles, right?
And a
card,
blank Valentine's card
that people could just pick up right there at the table, fill out and sign and take with them for Valentine's. It's really cool.
So I did that with the intention of it started out being these were referral gifts to other lawyers. Okay.
Gotcha.
But I intended for these lawyers to repurpose my Valentine's gift and
Yeah.
give it to their spouse.
Awesome.
But I didn't say that, and yes, that is exactly what happened. And now it's a whole thing. And I also have a Valentine creation station that I take to the Mansfield Business Collective.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's I love just the whole like ironic concept of a divorce lawyer playing Cupid.
No, and there is what we call that's exactly why I brought it up, because you can't believe how many people were sitting at the table filling out their cards, grabbing a little thing of wine, getting the chocolates and going, this is really something I can take with me and give or whatever. And you're like, yeah, this is, and I mean, you were loaded. This table was full.
Yeah.
Full. So congrats to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so we're going to get you to hang on a few minutes after we get off. Make sure your recording gets through. Guys, we want to thank you for being on the Mansfield Buzz. We are on every Thursday at 2 o'clock. Of course, we'll have new guests next week. But Susan, thanks for being our guest.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love it.
Yeah, and maybe down the road we can keep doing this as things come up in this, because I think that this is a never-ending thing. You could be just as popular next year as you can now, and you know what I'm saying? Just because it wouldn't hurt to do that. So, guys, thank everybody. Mansfield Buzz. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 o'clock. Y'all have a great day. See you next week.